This is Colin Dixon with nScreen Media, and I'm at DEW 2017 in LA, and I'm talking with Jason Friedlander, who is Director of Product and Technology Evangelism at Verizon Digital Media Services. Boy, that's a mouthful,
It is
Jason.
a mouthful. It's a huge mouthful. At least it fits on a card.
But we just had a fascinating conversation, and what I wanted to talk to you about is we've seen a big evolution in the delivery of video online. You know, we started out with postage stamp size, and now we're moving on to more customized services like Netflix with their binge watching and their personalization of recommendations. Let's talk a little bit about what are the key things that we need to see today in services to make them successful, and in particular, this personalization aspect is absolutely critical, right?
Yeah, we agree, and for years we've agreed, and we've just come out with our own technology that we call Smart Play. And Smart Play essentially is what we think is the most important thing, which is having a one-to-one relationship with every viewer. And from a technology standpoint, it allows us to do a lot of things by, creating a session for every time someone hits play. We're able to make sure they always have the highest quality and best experience on any device.
And so having a one-to-one relationship, this kind of works on all levels, right? All the way down at the bottom where you're streaming to all the way up to the content. So talk about one-to-one at the streaming level. What does that mean?
At the streaming level, we're obviously able to know a lot about the user, right? We know their IP address, we know what rights they have, we know what device they're on, what their internet speeds are. So we're able to create a unique manifest for that user. So for say they're on an iPhone on their wireless network, we're able to start their delivery with the highest quality that we know for that device can handle, as opposed to having to deliver just a generic manifest and then have their device buffer or pause as they wait for the quality to kick up. We know we can start delivery of the content, start playback at the best quality that they can handle at that time. And we can do that for every single user, no matter what their device is on, so they're always going to get the optimal experience. And for a content owner, what it does is, since we do all that in the cloud, they don't have to worry about creating all these different profiles. We're able to create the logic to generate these in real time in our cloud environment and manipulate it, so content owners never have to update it. They don't have to deal with that technology side. They just know that their quality of their content is always going to be delivered the best possible to each user.
And so when they give that content to you, can they just give you a linear feed and you figure out the rest?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So our slicer technology takes in a linear feed or a VOD asset and creates the small chunks for the adaptive bitrate playback, and we create multiple profiles of each chunk in our cloud environment, and then for each user, when they hit play, we go ahead and stitch those chunks together in the right array order that's best for that device and that user at that given time.
So now, one of the things that consumers constantly say is they want advertising to be more relevant to them, and that means inserting and targeting. So this is one-to-one as well, right? Figuring out the right ad. Can you stitch those into that stream, the linear stream?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that happens in obviously real time as well. So the same technology, we were able to say, for about the past 5 years we've been doing this, we were able to say, hey, we're already breaking everything up into small chunks. Who's to say the next chunk has to be the same piece of content? It could be an ad. And who's to say that ad has to be the same for everybody? So about 5 years ago, we developed the ability to do server-side ad stitching all within our environment. Not a huge deal at the time, but we were able to provide the same server-side stitch technology for both VOD and live and be able to scale to handle 36,000 sessions per second and over 10 million concurrent users. So we know we've built that scale in to be able to make sure that every user, whether they're watching a VOD asset or a live TV, can get dynamic ads delivered to them in real time.
So doesn't that mean that when I create a linear experience online, I could stick with a simulcast channel? It sounds to me like I could put together a custom linear experience for every single person watching, using the same approach that you're taking with the ads.
Yeah,
is that right?
Absolutely. And I think that's the next iteration of linear TV on over-the-top models. Today, we're using it, obviously not just for ads, but we have content owners that have license deals for local newscasts, right? And they might be broadcasting a local newscast that has a clip of the NFL in it, where they don't have over-the-top rights to the NFL news, so they traditionally would have to figure out a way to dump out of that for their OTT feed. Well, with our stuff, you can put a marker in there, and we can then replace that content segment with a slate that says, we'll be right back. It could be another news story, or it could be a totally different live linear feed altogether. So that way, we're able to almost replicate so many different playout scenarios just by doing it all in the cloud, and the content owner doesn't really have to piece all those things together. But then the next step of that would be to be able to go to end users and say, I know this much about you, so I'm CNBC, and I know that you you're an Apple investor, a Microsoft investor, a Google investor. When you come to my channel, I'm going to make sure that my channel gives you the news that you want to hear, and then stitched in between those will also be ads that are relevant to things that you want to do.
So, and all of this stitching, I'm not going to see a difference as a viewer?
No difference at all. So one of the cool things we do is that all the content that's in our system is encoded the same way as the ads. So every time our session servers make a call to an ad server like Freewheel or AOL or DoubleClick, we actually pull those ads into our system. So we take the mezzanine file, we pull it in the cloud, and we encode it the same way as the content. So when it plays back to you, the end user, it looks just the same as the content you're watching. And what that does is that prolongs engagement, because users are watching, and it feels a lot more like a broadcast feed that when you're sitting back and watching on your television, because when you watch TV, aspect ratios don't really change,
right,
and quality doesn't shift. And because all our stuff is encoded the same ways, we're able to manage the quality and the aspect ratios through the ads, because to us, they're just different pieces of content, just different little chunks that we're stitching together, but they're all encoded the exact same way.
But none of this can work without data, right? You need to have that data about the user in order to be able to do the personalization. Can you also collect that?
Yeah, so every session that's generated in the SmartPlay environment has a session log that's generated with it, and we've obviously used those session logs for years to hone and come up with the best manifest for each device to make sure we're delivering the highest quality, no rebuffering rates, the best we can do on that stuff. But in the future, we want to use all that data to be able to say, I know end users 18 to 24 like this piece of content, and this piece of content worked best with this type of ads, and therefore, I'm going to go now tell the content owner, make more content like this, or distribute more content like this to these people. And that all comes from being able to hone as much of that data as you possibly can from the end user, and in a perfect world scenario, put it together with the data around what it took to make that content to really give content owners the best view of how their content's performing across all the different devices and platforms and all their users.
So it sounds to me like personalization is kind of mandatory for services going forward, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it's totally mandatory. I think the more that you can prolong that engagement by personalizing the experience, obviously means the more ads you can serve, which obviously makes everybody more money, which is what we all want. But I think content owners need to think a little bit outside the box, outside of the traditional broadcasting box. We're seeing a lot of the traditional broadcasters obviously all moved their stuff to OTT, but they're still broadcasting in a very traditional linear fashion, or just throwing their VOD assets up there. And I think what we want to do is we want to be able to say, no, it's a whole new way to watch TV. Yep. That's much better for you, the end user, and in the long run, that's better for the content owner.
And this is all called SmartPlay?
Yeah, so SmartPlay is the name of our session management platform, right? So it's the technology that manages that session. It's just not sexy to say one-to-one session management. So we've branded SmartPlay to let people know, hey, this technology exists, and we'll work with you to figure out the best way to use it. And you're probably using it already with our dynamic ads, our dynamic manifests. You don't even know it, and there's a million other ways to use it, and we're here to help you do that.
It all sounds very cool, and
cool.
I can't wait to see some of the services that are produced using it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Jason.
Thank you.
This has been Colin Dixon with nScreen Media.